All right, so we have this scroll that we've made in Blender and we brought it into Unity and it furls and unfurls, and that's all great. But when we look at the scale, we do have a problem. If I add a game object, and we'll just add a cube, and we bring this cube so that it's next to the scroll, we can see that the scroll is even larger than the cube, and the cube is a 1 meter square. So if we're putting this scroll into a scene with other items, in all likelihood, it's going to be massively huge compared to everything else. So let's go ahead and fix that. There's a couple of ways to go about this, depending on what we're trying to do. If I go ahead and push A to select everything, I can hold down the Alt button and I can just type in 0.01 in each of these items and it will have scaled. Now the problem is we can see that that didn't quite work. Everything did scale down, and it's nice to be able to do it that way, but everything is in a different location because each item had its own center. So let's Control Z a few times, put it back to how it was. And the other thing we could do is, with everything selected, I could just go ahead and push S on my keyboard and scale things down and just kind of eyeball it till I get down to that 0.01. And in this case, I'm going to say close counts. I'm not going to bother being exact at the moment because we're just looking at the options. Now, that looks much better. Everything maintained its location in relation to itself. So let's go ahead and push play. And, well, that's not working either. These items animations are still going to the same location that I had them set up. So that's not necessarily going to work either in this case because of the animations. Now, maybe in a case like this, what I should have done is scaled things down to the proper scale prior to doing all of this, but I didn't. So let's see if we can resolve this another way. What I think I'll do instead is I'm going to just add an empty, and I'm going to give it a name. And then I'll just go ahead and select everything by pushing A. And over in the 3D window, I'm just going to parent things, making sure that I've got the fireball scroll highlighted as the main item, as the active item. And I'll do a Control P, and I'll set parent and keep the transforms. If I go ahead and grab that fireball scroll and I scale that down specifically, and let's zoom in and see what we get. And now if I go ahead and push play, we get a different result. Let's select everything. Let's go ahead and export this as an FBX. For the moment, I'll uncheck a few items like the NLA strips, although I might want those on a future iteration of this. I'm going to do just the I'm going to do just the selected items, and we will export the FBX. Now, if we come back into Unity, let's go ahead and bring the newer version of the FBX into the project. Scale-wise, that looks much better. Now it looks like the transform has changed. The scroll is showing up on its side rather than laying down. Let's just take a minute to position things so that the camera will have a decent view of the scroll. And let's go ahead and add the animation controller that we had created previously onto the scroll. And let's push play and see what we get. Scale seems okay, and it is furling on furling. Now, I actually think I went too small on the scale. And I should have probably done 0.1 instead of 0.01, but simple enough to go back and change it. Point is that things work, and I was able to scale this and put it into Unity after a couple of tries.